All right. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smithy with another GSD Mode podcast with my good friend and business partner, Jim Brown. What's up, Jim?
Same old stuff, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. It's awesome to be talking to you, dude. It's been
Yeah.
I know with both of us being so busy and just life and business and we used to be able to crank these out every week. Now it seems about once a month. So it's always awesome,
Yeah.
Jim. And
Yeah. It's much better to be in the home station than in some freaking residence inn or something. So it's have
yeah.
at least stable internet. But yeah, man. Just cranking it out.
Yep. Business been good.
Yeah, just busy.
Yep.
There's when you work for a startup company, there's never really a day off, man. There's always just a massive list of stuff to do every day. And then it's good though, because it makes me really prioritize what my actions are and to be very diligent about, okay, I'm going to accomplish these things today, no matter what else, the storm throws at you. And so it's been good that way, but that's how I've adapted a lot, was just to be very intentional of what I'm doing every day, and have to get those things done before everything else in the fire catches you, and you get diluted.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah. It's all about, yeah. I had a mentor of mine tell me a long time ago. He's like, look, if you ever enter a day without having it committed to paper first, like you've already lost that day. So you got to know,
yeah,
okay, what's it take? Do I got to win? What is it going to take to win each every day? And then from there, same thing, dude. It's like, okay, what are those most important, KPIs or critical things that I need to hit for, to move the needle forward? Okay, let me
yeah.
do those as soon as possible during the day. So if shit comes up, I can still win the day.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to get diluted on all this stuff that really doesn't matter. I mean, it has to get done at some point, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just like BS paperwork, or whatever. And man, you spend a day doing that. It feels like such a waste, man. I hate those.
Yeah.
I try not to. So you're right. Yeah, I like to go into it with a plan, but that's just like anything, right? What are we going to eat tomorrow, or what's a gym workout going to be?
Yep, 100%. So transitioning into that, man, because I know we like to kind of hit on more health fitness topics, during these. Um, uh, I mean, there's been this in for a long time, and like you and I both, man, we try to eat as clean as possible, one ingredient foods as much as possible, but when it comes to things like grass fed versus not grass fed. And I know we'll talk about a few things also organic with, fruits, vegetables, but I think there's a lot of misunderstandings out there. You read a label, you think it's something, but maybe it's not quite what you think it is. So maybe let's start with the meat side of it. And I'll kind of let you lead there. But like, what are important things that people really need to understand and know? And is it worthwhile to go out there and invest maybe in, grass fed versus non-grass fed? Because I just heard the other day, reading from a big meat manufacturer that they're predicting within the next 90 days that meat's going to go up another 30% in costs, because of the lack of nitrogen production that's been cut. And I'm just, it's just,
Oh my God, really?
yeah. So, I mean, it's getting
Dude.
expensive. Like, does it make sense to, buy all the grass fed shit where I can go get this maybe a little bit cheaper where it doesn't have the label?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we were all gung ho about grass fed, but really, there's a couple considerations, right? Are you eating a fatty piece of meat? Because I like lean meats for the most part. I mean, I'll have a ribeye every now and then, but my go-to is lean meat. So if you're eating lean meat, does it matter to buy grass fed? Not really. I mean, it tastes a little bit different, but even if you don't have the fat in there, it doesn't really, the taste isn't that much different, really. That's one of it. And then a lot of people who think grass fed is more healthy for you and all this stuff, they quote, the fat breakdowns. But when you look at the fat breakdowns, it's not that much different. It really isn't, between a corn fed and a grass fed. Well, what about the omega content? They have this preconceived notion that there's all this omega-3 fat in a grass fed animal. There's not, man. It's minuscule. So it's not enough to be significant. Then the other part is, well, maybe humane part of it. Maybe the animal is treated better. Maybe this. I mean, those are all considerations. If you want to, if you think that a grass-fed cow was raised in better conditions than, a factory farm corn-fed cow, cool. By all means, support that 100%. But as far as is it healthier for you? I just can't agree with that. I don't have, I don't have anything that really suggests that, other than, is it an organic cow? But even then, we've seen so many examples of an organic farm that's surrounded by non-organic farms. Is that animal really pesticide free? I mean, maybe a little less, okay, but when you're surrounded by other farms, it's just hard, and there's nothing that really checks that. The certified organic label and all these things that you see on the grocery store that tells you that it's organic. There's nobody really checking that. It's not. It's all BS.
Yeah.
So, from a preference standpoint, if you prefer grass-fed meat, you think it tastes better, I mean, sure, pay extra for it. But from a health perspective, I have a real hard time agreeing with that.
Yeah, because I've heard too, man, I mean, there's that kind of fine line of what they can classify as organic or grass
Mhm.
fed versus, because it's like, and I don't know exactly, I can't remember what the exact time frame is, but just because they're grass fed, like they can be grass fed for X portion of their life, but
Yeah,
then for a certain portion they can be non-grass fed, pumped up with every fucking
grain
animal,
finished. Yeah,
right, and grain, and then from there, then too, like you almost have to understand and fully know the full on supply chain of the animal, right? Because then,
right.
then okay, post, okay, they kill the cow or whatever, then from there, how are they processed? It's
Yeah,
like, dude, I was listening to something, a podcast by a big manufacturer out of Texas, and he's like, even our USDA, he goes, because maybe it's processed here in the States, but most of even our USDA like cattle that we think is USDA certified or is
right,
USDA certified, but he's like, most of those cows are coming from other countries. Like pretty much most
right.
of our meat gets shipped to China and other places. Then we're importing most that we think is,
It's insane. Yeah,
so then it's like, okay, if it's not, like if somebody's really caring about this, it's like, okay, you got to make sure it's grass fed, grass finished, and then, okay, what type of farm were they on a fully 100% regenerative farm?
right,
Like there's so many things to it. So some of this is just like, is it just a label? Marketing scheme to go out there and get you paid more. Cause I mean,
right.
it's difficult to get grass fed, grass finished.
I mean, there's the mail order stuff, like White Oak Farms or something like that, where that guy was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he has a true regenerative farm,
Yep.
right? And it's big enough to think that the animals are pretty, like his there's not a lot of overspray going in his and into his farm or whatever. And so I truly believe like that's a great source, but man, the price is so much that it would really. I mean, if I had unlimited funds, sure, I would source all my meat from there, right? I would also fly around the U.S. and the world and hunt and get my own meat and have a freezer full of exotic meats too. So it's if you go to the store and you're buying an organic, an organic grass fed whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know where it comes from. It's hard to figure that out. Even if you do, is it more healthy for you? I don't think it is. I don't
Yeah.
think it is. Tastes different, sure. Tastes different.
Yep. Yeah. So then when you say, okay, like you're going after lean cuts of meat, like what is your preferred, like for somebody that, want to be optimized, but want to stay lean?
Yeah, man. I always go for lean cuts like a sirloin, or if I'm out, having a steak or something, it's up almost 90% a fillet.
Yep.
And then at home, beef and peas is probably one of my big go-to meals. But we're buying we go to our custom butcher, our butcher store, and the meat that he gets is way different than the grocery store meat, meaning fresher. It tastes better, and it's actually cheaper. And so we buy it there. I think it's 93% lean, but it doesn't matter. I drain off the fat anyway. So, I cook hamburger and drain off the fat and then use that. So what's the real fat content? It's pretty low. And that's usually my go-to, or I'll make, on occasion, we'll make hamburger patties out of that meat, and eat that. But that's typically, the meat source. Chicken too, right? Don't eat a lot of chicken thighs. We'll buy them every now and then and blow through a few, but it's 90% chicken breast, which is pretty lean.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always looked at it like when I'm, dieting hard to get lean, it's like, because I don't really know how much actual fat is in a ribeye. You know, it's
Right.
like, you know, so I'd rather eat, okay, the lean meats. And then if I need to add in a certain amount of fats to hit my macros, you know, whatever, then it's like, okay, then I'll add in maybe an avocado or, you know, macadamia, like something that is a good, healthy, high fat content, but then I can control, because in a fucking ribeye, I mean, how can you measure exactly how much fat is in there?
Well, you can get an approximation, but it's high fat, man. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot of calories, you know. And then, there's a point. Well, let's say a ribeye has 800 calories. It doesn't matter if it's grass fed or grain finished. If it's the same size and fat content and all that, it's still 800 calories. It's not like it's some magical fat that's going to do anything to you. Um, then there's the consideration of the toxins too, right? So, a mammal gets rid of dumps toxins a few ways: through respiration, through sweat, through urination, through feces, and then the rest is stored. A lot of it's stored in body fat. So when you eat a fatty piece of meat, you're getting some toxins from that animal. I don't care if it's a certified organic or not. A cow is eating, I don't know how many tons of grass at that point. I'm sure it's been exposed to pesticides and everything else, and you're eating the fat that has toxins in it. So it's hard, then the argument then today on Twitter went from, that I can't believe you're not buying organic fruit to eat, and it's like, yeah, but you're eating animal fat. So really, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, hey, some organic fruit to me tastes different. It tastes better. It's usually smaller. Sometimes it tastes better. Sometimes it doesn't. The recent bunch of bags of fruit that I bought, the organic was awful, compared to the whatever non-organic. So anyway, I just don't see that much of a health benefit to really go after it and say, yeah, you know, that's what I'm eating. That's the primary source of food. But people argue that fact. So I think it's a misconception.
Yeah, and I, look, in a perfect world, man, you know, I would opt in for fully organic, grass fed, grass finished. But then again, it's like, dude, the more that I research this stuff, like take fruits and vegetables, for example, again, it's, I mean, how are they distributed? How are they, you know, after they're picked and what's added? I mean, there's so many, like it can get the label for organic, but there can be just as many fucking chemicals, and
Right.
just it just kind of defeats the whole purpose, you
Yeah.
know. And I still, like, they don't give, I still buy organic shit, you know, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also not, you know, deceiving myself of thinking that, oh, this is a fucking chemical free piece of, you know, fruit or whatever. It's like, I know it's
Right.
just as toxic and just as loaded up with bullshit that I'm putting in my body as anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think that, I think you have to be realistic about it. Just because it says organic on the label, you don't really know, man.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And, are there differences? Like, yeah, if you go to Whole Foods, sometimes there's organic fruit there that tastes much better than the non-organic version. That's not typical though, in my experience. Now, if I could grow all that stuff, would ideally and control it, yeah, that'd be great, but it's not realistic.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
100%, dude. So then, yeah. And, you know, something you said, which reminded me of this, something you said earlier, but, yeah, like I mean, there's so many of these, you know, quote unquote influencers out there now in the fitness space where it's just like, man, if, you know, dude, like you don't need to count calories. If you just eat, you know, one ingredient healthy foods, like you're going to be fine, you know? And it's just, you know, just, and I don't want to say that, you know, I don't know, maybe my metabolism's just fucking shot, but, you know, I have gotten put on body fat from eating one ingredient, extremely clean foods, and I was not in a deficit. I was in an abundance, and
Yeah.
I've definitely put on body
Well,
fat.
the fact is, this is the hardcore truth. Anybody can argue this with me, and I will eviscerate you. But if you're not counting calories and macros, you're either leaving muscle gain on the table, or you're leaving muscle loss out. And if you're just guessing at it and you're not putting on body fat, well, you could eat more to support muscle. That means you're either shrinking your muscle, or you're not going to grow it. And so for most of the people that, is kind of in our tribe or whatever, or guys and girls that are trying to build or maintain a certain level of muscle mass and control or lose body fat. And if you're not counting calories or have a general idea of where you're at every day, you're kind of half-assing it, man. You're leaving results on the table. And it's kind of I mean, you're just in a holding pattern then. You're really not serving yourself very well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just look at it and it's like, to me, I just look at it like, dude, it's physics, it's math.
Yeah.
Like here's how much my body, needs for maintenance. Right. If I'm at a deficit, it's going to go down. If like what I just, and again, and I always like to test things, but my personal experience, like I've gotten fat off eating extremely
Yeah.
healthy, and extremely clean.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten fat, I put on body fat with keto and ketosis. I've been, all that. That's how I know and confidently say that calories matter. And if you're eating, it's amazing. I was looking over at some really big guys training logs and diet logs and stuff. And man, dude, people just don't realize how much food it really takes to support muscle mass. And that's why people don't have a lot of significant muscle on them. I mean, they're not going to eat 300 grams of carbs in a day. They think they're going to get fat or some shit. But if you have significant amount of muscle and you're trying to gain it or retain it, you have to glycogenate sometime, and then it takes a lot of protein. It takes a lot of the correct macronutrients. It takes a lot of protein and carbs to support that. And people either undereat or they just they're way far off. And so that's what I do with every one of my clients. Anybody that I've ever tried to help, I get them to write down what they've been eating for 5, 7, 10, 2 weeks, and then I go over it and then start to move the needle a little bit and get them to realize how many calories we actually need, and then shift macros over to high protein and however many carbs we need. But it's just I've never seen it done successfully any other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'll hang, like when I hang out with you, when in person, whatever, or then I'm like, well, fuck, dude, like I want to get bigger, but then I'm like, no, man, like I know what it takes. Like I'm, you know, maybe like I got to deal in realities of like, because again,
Yeah.
man, like people don't realize like how much you have to fucking eat and
Well,
how you have
before
to
Oh
just
yeah, yeah. I mean, before the creamy arrived with that 100 grams of protein that I get to eat every day, that's really super easy to eat. I mean, that's another pound of chicken. That's a pound of meat, so it's 3 pounds of meat a day, man. That's for me to do anything. Now I can maintain on a little bit less, if I eat more other shit. I can kind of maintain, but for me to really be strong and actively look good and God forbid put on any muscle, it's 3 pounds of meat a day. And then the carbohydrates is probably a rice cooker full a day.
Yeah. So then with that creamy, dude, because I know you've been still hitting that hard, man. We had a couple comments in the podcast about, I've never seen Jim so excited. Like all right, like you haven't noticed any, negatives from it, like as far as
I've actually got leaner, dude, because I'll sit on the couch and just like right after tonight, I could have two more chicken meals or two more meat and rice meals, or I'm gonna eat that creamy and tonight's cottage cheese base. So it's kind of heavy, and of course I'll eat the whole quart, and it turns out to be like 95 grams of protein, like 15 carbs and trace, I think under 5, 6, 7 grams of fat. And then I got to hydrate, I'll be thirsty after that. So by the time I eat that and drink some water, man, I'm full, dude. Maybe I'll throw a piece of fruit in my mouth before I go to bed or something, but I'm full. And so it's actually been kind of cutting out some calories on the overall day. But as far as water and all that, nothing,
yeah,
no bloaty, yeah, nothing weird. But my body utilizes cottage cheese really well. I tolerate Greek yogurt very well, and then whey protein, I've never had an issue with, and that's pretty much the ingredients,
So yeah, because when you hear about that, it's like, and those that didn't tune into podcast a month or so ago when you were first talking about this, I mean, essentially it's what I mean, it's a freaking, like you're making ice cream out of this that tastes
So
delicious.
what the Ninja Creamy does is you take, I'll use Fairlife milk, no fat milk. I'll use whey protein. I'll use cottage cheese, low fat cottage cheese, and then my whey protein's flavored, and then I'll have like a sugar free Jello pudding that I'll put a couple tablespoons in with. And then I learned another trick where I got all these extracts too. So last night I had chocolate mint, and the chocolate mint flavor from the True Nutrition Way is pretty good. But it's not, it could be mintier. So I added a little bit of mint extract. Anyway, you blend it all up and then you freeze it. And so you pull it out, it's in this Ninja container. It's just a block of ice, right? Now you could chip away and eat that, but it doesn't taste like ice cream. It tastes like frozen stuff. So what you do is you put this thing on, you put it in the Ninja, and it has like a spinning propeller blade that's sharp on it, and it goes through and it chops this thing up. And so then the first pass, you have essentially this thing, this frozen chunk that's been chopped up. I'll add just a little bit of Fairlife again, put a little bit of milk in that, close it up, and then I'll respin it. And it's like Dairy Queen soft serve ice cream that's in this container now. And it's magic, and it's amazing. So anyway, that's what it does. It's like a propeller that chops up this frozen block and then creams it.
Yeah. Now, did you like hook up an affiliate with him yet? Because I think you've endorsed or sold about 1,000.
Dude, I swear that I've sold 500 of these. I mean, it's insane. I really missed the boat here, man. I should have bought a tractor trailer full and slung them on eBay. But yeah, I heard people were still trying to get them direct, and they're not there. But
oh, they're sold out.
Oh, dude, they've been sold out since we started talking about it.
Oh, really?
It's been insane. Cernovich mentioned it, and then I went crazy on it, and then everybody that is a regular on Twitter, man, everybody joined on.
Yeah.
But it's really it's amazing, man. Because normally to get that kind of ratios, you can't, if you go to the store, there's all those popular high protein, low calorie ice creams that are like Halo Top and all that shit. Those things taste awful, man. They really do. And they're fucking like $8. So, I quit buying them, but in the beginning it was like, well, okay, I'll have a 300, calorie ice cream with 30 grams of protein. That's okay, but it kind of tastes crappy. And then it gives you, it almost gave me gas, and I was bloated because of these shitty ingredients. And anyway, transform that to me having this soft serving of 90 grams of protein and however many carbs or grams of fat I want in it. That tastes amazing. It's crazy, man. I mean, it's dieting's never been easier, dude. We're in, there's a lot of shit with current times that's really fucked up, but
yeah,
that's something that's crazy.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was you and I, or if I was having a conversation with somebody else, but talking about like, okay, you've got an era that we're in with the most unhealthy that people have ever been, like with, overweight, obesity, type 2 diabetes. But then on the flip side of that, if you are cognizant and intentional about your health, we're also in the best time to ever be alive, with just tools and knowledge and information. And so it's, it's kind of like you got the worst, but you also got the best. You just got to pick and choose which side of that equation.
Well, you have apps now that you can take a picture of your plate, and it's pretty damn close on calories and macros. I mean, I remember still going through my nutrition almanac or whatever it was, and I'd write everything down for the day, and I'm going through that and figuring out the calories and the macros, and do that every day. And you were stuck eating the same thing because, man, that was such a pain in the ass to figure out. It's you're right. I mean, there's food delivery. There's you can send I can write out a diet for a client, have it sent to somebody like Icon Meals or whoever, and they'll send the diet to the client. It's pre-made. How many meals what do you want? Exactly. So all that stuff takes money, but still there's all these tools. I mean, there's air fryer it's so easy to prep food nowadays. And then things like the Ninja, man, it's the Ninja Creamy. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's never been easier.
Well, and now too, I mean, when you say, it costs money, but it's like, dude, I don't know, when people say it costs all this money, I'm like, dude, like and I guess it depends.
Well, like for food delivery, prep meals to be delivered.
Yeah, but even with that, like I go through Icon from times, like when I'm traveling or whatever, and it's still cheaper than me going to Chipotle for a burrito.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Right? So I mean, like I mean, all this other fucking fast food, all this shit's gotten so expensive, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's bad. I still, my go-to meal on the road is two burger patties and a potato from Wendy's. And I think that's up to $10 now, with a Diet Coke. So it's like, dude, compared to you can get a pound of, meat for 5.99 and a potato's almost free. So, yeah, it's even more advantageous to prep meals, man.
Yeah.
It's so much cheaper.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a cost thing, which helps now because freaking life is 40+% more expensive than it was just a few short years ago, which seems like it's
Yeah.
just getting worse and worse and worse, But then from there, from a time perspective, dude, it's like, I love the fact that I don't have to fucking waste an hour at lunch, whatever. It's just like, dude,
Yeah.
I just sit, eat at my desk. It's all here. I just able to, like, I don't waste time fucking just sitting around waiting to eat.
Yeah. 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 That's driving there, getting the food, doing all that stuff. Plus, you don't know what you're getting. You can't really control it, all that, unless you're having, two burger patties and a potato from Wendy's. But if you go to a normal restaurant, it's always something, man. Oh man, I wanted you to hold the dressing on the side, right? Whatever it is, it's hard to really control what you're eating.
Yeah, dude. So, how's the workouts going, dude? Are you still doing
Yeah,
your
man, I got
thing?
diluted again. So now, because Jordan Peters, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's probably one of the smartest guys out there now, one of the most intelligent bodybuilders. But he's really the guy that I think is taking it all to the next evolution. And so, you have some of the guys that influence me, and then you have the guys of kind of my era, like Dante Trudell, and one of my mentors is Phil Hernan, and those guys, and you can kind of see where all what I call the smart guys kind of went to. They're like all in this band of what I call the band of truth, right? So we've all figured out kind of the same way to train, and we're all in that band of truth. And then Jordan Peters, really took that to the next level, and he's a little advanced for your normal lifter, or even if you're not an advanced guy, it's hard to just log on and start watching his content and really get it all, because he's it's kind of like where I'm at. It's really hard for me to write down a program for somebody without run me through all these considerations.
Yeah.
Let's make it for you. But anyway, that being said, he kind of changed my mind and solved something that I've been thinking about and trying to figure out for a long time. And it's this density day thing and the way that he splits his workouts. So anyway, what I'm doing now is it's not just a monster maker or whatever program that I'm doing. It's going to be 3 modules. One's going to be kind of the entry, or the default. If you're coming into this whole program, that's where you're going to start. And or if you have to go to a 3-day split, then you're going to go back down to this. Like if you have volume coming up at work or family or whatever, busy summer season, whatever, you're going to default down to this workout to kind of maintain. You can still grow in there, but it's kind of maintain. Then the middle module is where you're going to spend the most of the time, where you're growing, where you're strong. You have the time to train, 4 or 5 days a week, 4 days a week, and really put in the effort. Your recovery is going to be high. You got time to sleep. Your diet's on point. And then the workout that I had spent that time writing, that's going to be a place where you're going to go to for maybe, if you're a natural athlete, you're probably going to spend no less than 4 weeks there, and then bounce back down to the medium or the beginner program. If you're enhanced, then you're going to run that as long as you can before you start hitting the wall. Then you're going to go back to the middle workout. So that's what I got now, and we're getting real close to finishing that, man. So
Yeah.
I just threw more work on myself because I didn't want to make it 3 separate things, because really, that's what I found myself doing. When I have, like a year ago from today, I was so slammed and I was on the road, every damn day. I couldn't work out more than 3 days a week. So I kind of went back down to this maintenance type of program. And then when I got time where I could work out on the weekend, I could do, 2 days a week. Then I'm back in that medium. And then if I have, a free week or whatever, I kind of bounce up into that advanced schedule, for a little while, but I can't stay there very long. And so I thought that I wanted to have those all 3 as a package. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that advanced schedule still like the 2-day? When I say 2-day split, like you're
It
essentially
can,
getting every body part in twice a week.
yeah, and it can be a 2 a day. So that's one of the things that I tested last week, right? So I wanted to kind of split that. And man, if I had unlimited time, that's a way that I would do it. Because when you do 2 workouts in a day like that too, you also create 2 windows that I think are an opportunity for, recovery, where you can drive glucose and do all those things, and it just seems to work better when you're really trying to go out, throw everything towards the wall, throw everything at it, and go for it. Splitting that up into 2 workouts is probably the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, man. We're still just working on. I figured out the last little piece of it, and then I tested a few more things this week again, and I think I'm ready to. We're getting real close, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Um,
So what's your thoughts or philosophy on training fasted? And I'm not talking about like intermittent fasting and then training, but like, getting
yeah,
up early in the morning, because I'm like, dude, like I would fucking love to just be able to get up and train, not have to get up, eat, and then wait,
yeah.
45 minutes for the food to digest or an hour and then train.
It depends where you're at, man. I think the leaner you are, the the less likely I would be to recommend it. I've been on most of the mornings that I train in the morning. I'm rolling in there fasted, even though that's breaking one of my rules. But I seem to be okay with it. But I'm eating, my diet's on point the rest of the day, right? So it's 300 grams of protein, and then anywhere from 50 to 300 grams of carbs, and so my diet's on point, so on point. Plus, I'm in a different, I got some body fat on, and I'm not going to lose muscle if I'm not going to train with any protein in my body or anything. But I'm also drinking my intra-nutrition drink as well.
Okay.
So as soon as I get to the gym, I got protein coming in, I got glucose coming in, and it's not truly fasted. But that being said, man, if you're trying to put on, if you have a hard time retaining muscle, or if you're leaner, I wouldn't train fasted.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, something. I mean, anything, almost anything you put in your stomach, and then the intra workout stuff, of course, is I think mandatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And intra meaning, I know you talked about this a lot, but your EAAs
Yeah,
and then like
EAAs, and then
pomegranate.
some type of carbohydrate.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and then it's not a big deal because I get up, I eat, and then I'll just like get a little bit of self-development or get some work done. So it's
Something.
but like in
Yeah.
a perfect world, it'd be like just get up, fucking train, get out of the way, get in the office an
Yeah.
hour earlier, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So then
Well, I really think, especially as lean as you are, I think it would be detrimental.
yeah.
But ultimately you could test it out. But then I would probably want you to eat some more carbs during the day too. So, I don't know. I mean, ultimately the real answer is to beta test it and try.
Yeah. And the hard part of what I'm going through right now is like I got I can train hard and I'm, getting the calories in, but I'm in a season right now where it's pretty much an impossibility for me to get more than 5 hours of sleep a night. So then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, fuck, if I can't get that recovery. Now I try to make up for it by, getting a 7th meal in a day and keeping my protein that much higher. I know it doesn't replace the sleep, but it's just what my schedule is right now. Or
Well, dude, I mean, that's, there's some things in life that just are going to get in the way of training, right?
yeah,
And that's one of them. So I think you're doing everything right by you're looking at what other factors can you increase, or how can you kind of help that along. And I think that's it, man. Diet would be on point, be very critical. Are you eating enough? Are you getting enough, glycogen to train on, all that stuff? And, if you can only sleep 5 hours a night, you can only sleep 5 hours a night.
yeah.
But you also seem to handle, at least it's been my perception, that you're not a guy that needs to sleep 9 hours a night. So
No. I mean, I like it, when I turned 40-ish, I don't know if it was like just turned 40, but it was, around then, like, maybe a year before that, I started noticing that, like, okay, dude, I used to be able to pull all-nighters 1 or 2 nights straight in a row and just not even affect me.
Yeah.
Or, when you get those 2-3 hour night sleeps, not affect me. Now, dude, like if I don't get at least 4 or 5 hours, I feel like a zombie. I
Yeah.
feel best and optimal when I get about 7, and
Yeah.
that would be the perfect window, dude. Like 8, I don't feel any better on 8 than I do 7.
Yeah.
And I've done some more due diligence on sleep, and I found that, there's some evidence out there that 7 is healthier for you than 8, so I mean, who knows? But yeah, I don't require a ton, but as I get older, dude, it's like, fuck those. I mean, the all-nighters are pretty much out of the window for me anymore.
Yeah. This last weekend I had a spearfishing day where, I got up at 3:30 in the morning, had to move all kinds of, all that shit, load all the gear, hard day on the boat. And then, by the time I got home and in bed and laid down, it was 9 o'clock at night, and I was fucking destroyed, dude. At way past my limit of being able to perform and doing anything. And days like that, it takes two 9-hour sleep days to get back to normal, and food, and enough food. Because of course, on a day like that, I just can't consume, the right amount of food. And man, as I, even in the last 5 years, a day like that really takes its toll, man.
Yep.
So it's interesting. But
Yep.
like the leg day I did today, it's going to take its toll. But
Yeah, you hit legs today?
yeah, I had a really good leg day. But that being said, going to throw a little bit more carbs out tonight, and I know I have to get 8 hours of sleep.
Yep. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. I got legs today too, and now that I have a home gym, I don't have, the fucking leg press and all the, leg extensions and all that shit like I used to, going to a gym. But man, I've just been fucking, I mean, since COVID lockdowns, dude. But it's like today, dude. I mean, I did just fucking 12 sets of I mean, I did some warm up sets before that, but just fucking 12 straight sets of squats, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is gonna sound like I'm a total pussy, especially the weight you're pushing, but dude, I only had 155 pounds on there,
Well,
but
12
dude, like,
sets is a lot, dude.
yeah, but then it's,
Yeah.
going super slow on the way down, 5-6 seconds,
Yeah.
pausing at the bottom, coming up, controlled, squeeze at the top. And, my goal was to hit, the last couple, I'll be honest, I didn't hit 20 last couple. Like in my
Yeah.
last one, I got like 16, but trying to hit 20 reps of each of those, dude, like,
That's a lot of
fuck, dude,
volume,
like,
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
that weight felt like, 315 used to feel for me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. I don't, I'm not loading the leg press all the way up, but I do reps of 20s all the way up until my top set, and I did a pretty significant amount of weight at hitting 20s at it. And dude, that's a whole, that's just always been amazing for me, the higher rep stuff on that. But I was going to say, there's a company that makes some really cool attachments now, and you
yeah.
you have a cage.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
just saw the one that you're talking about, dude.
So there's one that's a like a floor squat, like a belt squat attachment,
Yep.
dude. Yeah, there's some cool shit, man. There's some really cool stuff they're making now.
Yeah, and then what's this other one I just saw here? What, Bulletproof Fitness, where it hooks into the cage and you can like make it where it's like a leg extension, leg
Yeah,
curl.
yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah,
also do it for a preacher curl. And then yeah, I
yeah.
saw, and I try to emulate that sometimes where
Hmm.
I'll, get, because I have dumbbells that go up to 90s,
Yep.
where I can even throw two with the belt chain, and I can,
Yeah.
do squats that way. I mean, I just did like barbell, like, and I thought for sure of just doing fucking squats only, that I was gonna, lose some size or lose some shape or lose some cuts, but it's just,
Yeah. Nah.
it's
Yeah. If a squat mechanically fits you pretty well, and if you do it like a workout like that, if your glutes, hamstrings, and quads get sore from doing squats like that, squats are a great exercise for you.
yeah.
It just never hit me that way. And so when I moved off of squats, then my legs exploded, because I just wasn't, I'm mechanically, I'm not a great squatter,
Well, it's
I don't
tougher
know.
the taller that you are too, right?
Yeah. And then I got I've always had weird ankle mobility. So I broke and fractured, my ankles when I was a kid a bunch of times. So I was a fat kid. And I don't know, I'd never been able to squat with my heels on the floor. And so I've always used an elevated heel squat, which is great, blew up my quads, but it doesn't make it really, I don't know. It's never been a real proficient squatter, you know. The time I've worked with Poliquin, you know, he's like, you're not made to squat ever, just stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Any explanation? No, just move on. Okay. And he was right. But that's just, you know, just my mechanics. It doesn't work. But if it works for you, that squat's a great movement, man.
Yeah, I think that's
You know,
what
it's
people need to
great.
understand too, where, you know, because you get so many like, oh, this is the best exercise to grow this thing.
Yeah.
But like you just mentioned, like all of our body mechanics are different. Like there's probably better exercises that other people fucking react to in better different ways.
That's what drives me. That's why that's why we made the video course, right? The advanced forge video course, because I wanted to lay out everything for somebody to create their own program, you know, with some guidance. And that's why it's so hard for me to write down a program, because that's where people really want. They don't want to conceptualize and try to learn and then have to think about it, right? So they would just want to give me a written program. But it's really difficult to say, hey, man, these are the top 2 exercises for each chest, because I don't know that. It takes me, and I'm good at that. But it would take me 40 minutes to run you through the gym and really dissect what I think would be good for you. And then we would have to test it. We'd do a fuckload of reps on it and see, you know, kind of intentionally to get you sore and see where you get sore and then play with it that way. So it is, man. It's really hard to say, you know, these are the best exercises for this, you know,
Yeah.
other than saying like, hey, I'm pretty sure we can hit your upper back really well with a chest supported row of some type, you know, but there's a lot of vagueness in there. But it's always challenging when you hear people say that, or, you know, do this for that, because it's not right for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I know when you're saying that, like, it just makes me think of business, you know, it's like a coaching client, it's like, you know, I guess like, well, what's the best, you know, I don't know, lead generate, you know, client acquisition strategy. I'm like, well, dude, you know, it's going to depend on what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your skill set is, what you like doing, what you don't like doing, you know, what's going on in the market, you know, where are you located? Like, you know, what is your, you know, is your market, you know, Matt, like, okay, like what works in Florida with it being, you know, the #1 migration state is different than maybe in California, where a lot of people aren't migrating there and people are moving out, you know, right? Like there's so many factors where it's like, dude, you got to know a lot of intel to craft a
Yeah.
very individualized plan. You know, it's
Yeah.
not just as simple as just, oh, you know, here's a cookie cutter thing that's just going to work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so nuanced, especially, diet too, you know. I absolutely hate writing out a diet for somebody, because you know, the chicken and broccoli, nobody's it's the same, you know, it's not gonna work. You know, you got to work with somebody like, oh man, I will throw up if I eat another chicken breast. Okay, cool, man. Let's, you know, what can you eat? You know, or what, you know, I can't stand carbs. I just have a mental block. I think I'm going to get fat. Okay, cool, man. Let's work around that. You know, it's so individualized and nuanced, and workout specifically, you know, people's body mechanics or limitations. Maybe they're not flexible. There's so many things. It's really hard to just have a bland recommendation, you know?
Yep. Yep. Have you, not that we have to go too deep into this, but have you heard, you know, anything about, you know, some of these new COVID restrictions that are starting to seem to be brought back in certain industries and places?
Man, like I'm not in the hospital setting anymore. I'm in the outpatient setting, and I haven't seen it yet. I was somewhere. Oh man, where was I? I traveled so much lately. I forgot where I was, but I was like, are we really doing masks again? You know, and there were some offices that were, you know, mandating or asking that you wear a mask again. I think I was in Atlanta, but yeah, man, the rumor on Twitter is it's going to come back, and man, it doesn't surprise me, dude. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, even with everything we know, right? We know masks for the most part don't do much, right? We know that the boosters don't really help too much.
I'll give you myocarditis.
Yeah,
Fuck you up.
we know that you don't need to sit down or walk into a restaurant with a mask, and then it's okay to take it off to eat. You know, I mean, all this, it's just, I don't think anybody learned, and they're not gonna. I don't know. I bet most people are just going to fall back into a comply status. And hey, man, I have to work too. So if I have to, if I have to put on a mask to get into somewhere to see a customer and do something I have to do, I'm going to put on the stupid mask. That being said, am I going to wear it anytime that I absolutely am not at gunpoint mandated to or threat of, losing my income? No, but I don't know. We got to try our best. I'm not sure, man.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, to your point, like I thought it was, pretty damn clear and a pretty, decent consensus across the board that, and look, I'm not going to fault for you had a 100-year pandemic, like I mean, it's easy for me being an outsider sitting there being like, oh, like this was down, whatever. But like, I don't know, I'm not in their positions. I'm not, like who
Yeah.
knows, and I don't have all the intel they had, but at least at this point, I thought it was pretty damn clear that okay, like those were mistakes. They didn't work. Like locking down schools, like you said, masks, 6 feet did like it's like okay, I thought it was pretty fucking clear across the board that we understood now that all of that shit was ineffective. But then now it's just like I mean, you got Canada, you got UK, and again, like I'm not traveling there. I don't see what's going on. You're just reading and hearing about shit, which
Yeah.
could all be a lie. But
Yeah.
but then now it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies that are bringing it back, dude. Like you got me, it was just announced yesterday at Lionsgate, like the movie company and their California office, they're, mandating masks again. And, I mean, where it got blown, I guess, was, Alex Jones came out and said that he had, spoke to, I don't know, two
TSA
personal
agents.
relationships. Yeah. TSA and
Yeah.
then a border patrol, but then what was crazy is like the next day, all of a sudden, all these fucking articles started coming out with like Lionsgate and then, receipts, from the government showing that they're buying all this PPE equipment again, but it's just kind of mind blowing thinking of like, are we really going to go into a round number 2 of this?
I just can't imagine that people are going to fall for that all over again. Like the work from the isolation, all that stuff. I mean, I guess a certain percent, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I
Yeah.
don't know. But we're so worse off too economically. Can we do that? I mean, can people afford to do that? Half the shit that went on. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's you know interesting times, dude.
Yeah. And part of me thinks too, with the financial system that's going on right now, it's like, it's so fucked, dude. So fucked. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
every element of it is so fucked. Like, do they need something like this again so they can have an excuse to go print another $10 trillion?
Is that going to really
you know,
help?
so,
I don't know.
and I know that's me
Yeah.
wearing my tinfoil hat, but I'm like, oh shit. Like, cause I mean, it's fucking imploding, dude.
Well, on that note, let's just dive into one more tinfoil thing real quick. But the Maui fires. All right. So I saw something, and again, guys, we're just talking shit here, right? I mean, I don't know any of this stuff. I'm not saying I believe in any. I don't know, but it was interesting. I kind of dove down this little rabbit hole where Oprah Winfrey and a bunch of other type celebs had painted their houses this obnoxious blue color, at least the roof, right? It's like this cobalt blue. And then there's a picture where all the cars are burnt except this shade of blue car. There's a picture where all everything's burned except these 4 like beach umbrellas that are this color blue. And there's another picture with everything's burnt, except this flower pot that's this color blue. And so then the guy had a demonstration with a laser with different colors on fabric, and it burnt everything except for this color blue, meaning you can adjust a laser to hit or not hit on these colors. And I thought that was super. Of course, anything like that is going to catch my eye and be like, oh man. I don't know if any of it's true or whatever, but I thought it's a cool distraction and rabbit hole to jump down. But
Yeah.
man, something crazy happened.
Yeah, I mean, I at least, I don't know how advanced it is, but I mean, I'm fully convinced that the weaponry that exists out there is far more advanced than we can fathom,
Yeah.
so, definitely wouldn't surprise. Like if it came out tomorrow, I'm like, yep, no, it was started through intentional
Yeah.
fucking late, whatever,
Right.
whatever, like, okay. I think what we do know at this point though was, okay, like power lines, I mean, if you go look at, there's images of all the, trees and bushes before, where it's like, okay, like for the last 5 years, it just got massively neglected. And whether it's intentional or accidental neglect, it's like, okay, does that matter? I guess it does matter, but it still results in the same thing, but then, standard protocol during hurricanes is to shut off the power. They didn't shut off the power. I mean, they shut the water was shut off, but not the power, so then, when those winds, I mean, it's just slamming power lines, exploding power boxes. And then I heard, Tulsi Gabbard, talking, and she was just like, yeah, she's like, it was just like, when that fire hit and with that winds, it's just like taking a blowtorch, dude.
Yeah.
Because then some people were like, oh, well, why were all the rich people's houses spared? Well, they took care of their fucking trees and shrubberies, hitting the, I mean, who knows, dude?
Who knows?
And the thing with this stuff, dude, is, because, we're not, and I also an element of it, I don't get it. I don't like it, but also at the same point, it's like, I can understand it to an extent of, like we're never going to get really the full picture of the truth of anything.
That's true.
So then you have no choice but to just try to fit together pieces and come up with your own fucking conclusions. And, but it's like, we're never going to know exactly what's going on in Ukraine. Like we'll never even know like what exactly happened that during World War II. Like I mean, they still won't fucking release all the documents with JFK, right? Like
right.
We're never gonna get told the fucking actual truth, right? So then it's just like they have no choice but to fucking come up with their own crazy conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean we've actually talked about that before and come to that, man, right? It almost doesn't matter. And that's why, at the end of the day, you can't get too tied into it because you're never going to know, and it's never going to make sense, or you're never going to know the truth.
Yeah. I mean, even like, I enjoy history and whatnot, but I think it's important to learn certain elements of it. But then at the same point, I'm like 90% of probably what I'm reading or listening to here is just false, fake shit. It's,
written by the winners.
Written by the winner. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I remember listening to an interview with Kanye West, before all his, before he got canceled and everything. But he, made a comment of like, what's the point of studying history? It's like, it's all just bullshit, right? And I was like, and I can't remember exactly how he framed it, but he framed it in an intelligent way. And I was like, it makes sense, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So straight craziness, dude. But yeah, I mean, to the point of, go back to the COVID stuff of, I can't fathom that we're going to go through this again. I can't fathom how people will comply the same way. But also, I couldn't believe that I think any of us, if a year prior to the last lockdowns, if we're like, this is what life's going to be like in a year, none of us would have believed it.
Yeah.
So, at a point where I don't think shit will ever surprise me. So
that's true. We live in interesting times, man.
Yep. Well, right on, brother. Well, Jim, where can people, if people want to follow you? Cause I get a lot of people asking, like where to follow you at in Twitter. Cause I know you're posting all your, your creamy recipes or whatever it's called.
Advanced Forged on, the handle's Advanced Forged on Twitter. And, you can buy the workout programs, all that stuff. There's a link to our supplements, all that, everything that we do. But, that's where I'm most active. And, obviously if you guys have any questions, you can message me there or whatever. But, I try to answer everybody. And, if you have an actual question or concern, man, I always try to address it.
Yep. Hell yeah. Well, those watching, listen, we truly appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to check out forgelife.com, FORJ life.com. That's mine and Jim's supplement company. Check out our amazing nootropic. We also have an awesome eye formula out there. Dude, I've been fucking murdering that eye formula lately, dude.
I was just going to say, man, I need to hit Amanda up because I need a refill.
Yeah.
But, dude, I want to get my eyes retested. But I've been double dosing that for quite a bit. And I don't know if it's just me learning what to recognize underwater better or whatever. But I haven't, I'm almost hesitant to say this because it sounds like a freaking advertisement for our stuff, but man, I see stuff a lot better underwater. Like I can identify and see fish that I wasn't able to see before, and we went lobstering last week and I'm, 30 feet above the floor and I'm seeing lobster antenna. I don't know. I'm hesitant to say that it's from the I formula, but it's got to be from something.
Yeah.
But dude, I hardly ever get my readers anymore. So I'm a believer, man. I really am a believer in that formula.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't have to, wear glasses. So I don't know is, and I'm not diving. So, I don't, but what I do know for me, man, is, just from eye strain from out the day, because I'm behind a
Yeah.
freaking computer or, like all day, every day, dude. And when I take, and I do the same thing, double down, take it, twice a day. And dude, I just don't have the same eye strain, so I'm not near as mentally tired. And even dude, like my parents, my dad and my stepmom, who are both in their 70s, like they're freaking crushing it too. Like it's, because their, eyes as we age obviously get worse and worse and worse. And they've been
Yeah.
seeing massive improvements. And, they've been on it for about the last year, so it's awesome stuff. So I wasn't planning on going there, but as I was plugging the company, it made me think of it.
Hey, you know what, man? That's the things that we've made. I've been really proud of, and they fucking work. So
Yeah.
it's okay to talk about them, I guess.
Yeah. Now my favorite stack, dude, is serving a zone. So then I go to, I make my own coffee at home. So just the K
Yeah.
cups, whatever, here at the office. So I'll do, like, I don't know, a Starbucks dark roast. So I'll do one of those and then I'll do a secondary one, but like with the smallest cup it can. So it's like essentially two, so I don't know how
Yeah.
much caffeine is in that, but that, and then, fucking pop a Nicorette piece of gum in my mouth, dude. And like, holy shit,
A couple zone
like
taps.
6 hours straight. I'm just,
Yeah.
that's my favorite. I do it, first thing in the morning when I get in the office around 5 a.m. And then I'll usually do it again, because then I start to, lose that crazy intense focus,
Yeah.
that I get from that. I still regular focus. Cause the thing I like about this stuff is I don't crash, right.
Right.
Versus, taking a stimulant or something, other stimulants. But then, I'll usually hit it again at like one, one or
Yep.
two, but that's, cause like right now we were talking off air, but I mean, I'm, grinding 14-hour day, consistent days, 7 days a week right now. And that gives me all the
Yeah.
fucking, like, I'm never mentally tired, never I mean, by 9 o'clock at night, I'm out, but I'm like,
Yeah.
for the physically or mentally tired for what I need that energy
Right.
for, I can go for
Well, I
days.
just went. I reset my caffeine tolerance too, and we've talked about this before too. But what I'll do is cold turkey off of caffeine, and then just use Zone for the stimulant. To try to keep it going. And 2 weeks with that felt great, no problems. Again, I'll take 4 in the morning, and then I'll take another 2 in the afternoon, and feel great. Don't have any energy problems. And then I reintroduced caffeine this last week. So then I'll go back, I'll cut back or cut out Zone for a few weeks, and go back on caffeine for a little bit, and then I'll have a balance. I'll eventually add it back in probably next week when I don't feel that energy from that first cup of coffee, then that's when I'll start using. But I usually start again, I'll reset my usage or my tolerance with that as well. And so I'll start back with 1 or 2 tablets with a coffee, and then 1 in the afternoon, and then let it build up as well. But the thing about that though, it doesn't seem to attenuate the way caffeine does. So, if you take 3 tablets today, 6 months from now, those 3 tablets still feel like the same. And so that's one of the cool things about the stimulant that we used in that. So
Yeah.
doesn't build up a receptor or crash your receptors. But
Yeah. I should try that
anyway,
because I've always just taking the full dose,
yeah,
5. So, I mean, I'm taking 10 a day,
yeah,
5 in the
yeah,
morning, 5 in the, afternoon. I mean, I've had certain days where it's like crazy, when I'm hitting like a 20-hour work day where I'll do 15,
yeah,
and I haven't, like I don't feel like I build up a tolerance like,
right.
with other supplements. And again, it doesn't get the crash, dude. So, which I
Well,
love.
according to the data, man, the TA cream data, you don't build a tolerance up. But I wonder about the other stuff with the rhodiola and all that. I mean, I can feel a difference if I take a little time off with it, but the stimulant part of it, man, it doesn't attenuate. It still feels the same 6 months later. So
Yep. Yep. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, make sure to check out forgelife.com if you're interested in those two supplements. And Jim, as always, my man, truly appreciate you taking time to be here, brother.
Thank you, man. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, you too. All right, guys. We'll see
All
you
right.
next time. Peace.
Yep.